On a fine Tuesday, this is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here today, Fox Business Network's Dagan McDowell, radio talk show host Meghan McCain, Republican strategist Lisa Booth, and today's #OneLuckyGuy, Iraq and Afghanistan veteran, Fox News contributor. The list gets longer every time we talk to him. Pete Hegseth is here, and you're outnumbered. I'm great.
Thanks
How are
for having
you?
me. It's great to be here.
Do you know what I call you behind your back? Honka honka burning Hegseth.
Oh my gosh.
I'll take it.
Now you're on guard.
There's things you can call someone behind their back, right?
Wow, and now everybody knows.
And they do. It's not a
When you
secret anymore,
share.
Megan.
Yeah, we love it.
Thank you. I love you
Seersucker
too.
tie. Have never seen one. Loving it.
I try.
No, and you succeed. All right, this is just happening now. It's a story unfolding. Sources just this hour confirming to Fox News that the FBI is preparing to release some of the materials contained in its report on Hillary Clinton's email practices while she was Secretary of the State Department. The release in the response, we understand, is a response to numerous requests under the Freedom of Information Act. The timing? Note. Just as new signs that pay-to-play allegations are swirling around Hillary Clinton's State Department, and that they may be taking a toll on her poll numbers. Her once commanding national lead in a key poll over Donald Trump has been cut in half. According to the latest Monmouth University poll, Clinton leads Trump by just 7 points, 46-39. Look at it there. Down from a 13-point lead she held just after the Democratic convention. The drop mostly due to a 7-point decline in her support among members of her own party. And the RNC is now demanding the Clinton Foundation release all its formal communications with the State Department when she was secretary. Chairman Rice Priebus says that's the only way the American people will ever know for sure if donors were given special treatment. Watch. Or just watch us talk about it.
Well, no, and the New York Times even today came out and said she needs to separate herself from the foundation. Everyone's piling on because the evidence has shown that the optic is reality. Her bounce from the DNC has subsided. Trump has steadied the ship. And this stuff with the foundation is really starting to stick. The emails after emails are coming out. These FOIA requests are coming due. And it's clear Huma Abedin wasn't just her number two. You have to remember, she was employed by both the State Department and the Clinton Foundation at the same time as she talks to Doug Band, who works for Bill Clinton. I mean, it is all clear. And, you know, if Comey should have prosecuted when he had a chance, the evidence that comes out shows how guilty they really are.
So, Lisa, as we look at this and kind of the messaging that's been coming out of the RNC and Republicans and Donald Trump's campaign, have they hit this hard enough? Or is this one of those cases that politicians love to say, if the house is on fire and you have a bucket of water, keep it in your hands?
No, I think keep hammering it, because look what's happening in the polls. And that isn't an outlier poll. You also look at some of the swing states that are closing as well in Pennsylvania and Florida. So keep hammering it home. And I think for Hillary Clinton, she has obviously made the political calculation that not releasing these emails and trying to hide information is in her best interest instead of putting it out there. There's a reason why she reportedly spent $140,000 out of her own pocket to maintain these servers, deleted tens of thousands of emails using BleachBit, and then also failed to disclose foreign donors in the first place regarding the Clinton Foundation. She's clearly made the political calculation that it will hurt her less to try to hide the information as opposed to having it be out there.
So a lot of people dig and ask us why we would look at a particular poll. This specific poll asks the questions about the Clinton Foundation. And so the respondents in that survey were responding on point to what we're talking about. But others, just as Lisa has mentioned, that are out there, not always ones that we would look at first, but we look for trends. According to Real Clear Politics, Economist is showing a 3+ lead for Clinton. That's not the double digit that Quinnipiac had. In fact, Quinnipiac is the only one now. It seems to be more of an outlier with that double-digit lead for Clinton. Your thoughts?
And all these polls show that the gap's closing, right? Most of them that you look at. And that his numbers have improved. She's weakening in terms of even if she has a lead. And I always look at how the favorability ratings, also the negatives. And there was a Wall Street Journal poll that Jerry Seib was writing about. Now, more than 6 in 10 reported negative feelings toward Donald Trump, but more than 5 in 10 had negative feelings toward her. And what is going on right now goes right to that. The American people have learned to distrust her over the last 25 years and distrust literally everyone around her. So everything that comes out right now, it goes straight to that. She could run an ad of her in a field of tulips having her face licked by a dozen puppies, and it's not going to make people have warm feelings towards her.
No, but I would watch that.
They would watch it and go,
watchable, right?
and
With
people
babies
think
around.
poor puppies.
So Megan, as we look at this, you said 25 years of it, but what counts is what's happened really in the last 25 days, because you're talking momentum, and you've spent, being Hillary Clinton, north of $40 million on negative ads in battleground states. Again, these are national polls, but only one in double digit. They've all kind of shrunk. Your thoughts?
Listen, yesterday we got in a very heated discussion about how people on the left are trying to spin this like this is just business as usual. This is politics as usual. The American people are very smart. They know that the Clintons do business in a very different way than the rest of politicians. Business as usual, that they're incredibly corrupt. This pay to play, I don't care what anybody says. They were bribed. They were taken. You give the Clintons enough money, you get access. You get, what was it, lunch with the president of China. You can have access to anything you want. The Prince of Bahrain can come in and have dinner with whomever you want. This is not business as usual, and the spin on the left isn't working. And I think for Donald Trump, hammer this home. Even for people like me that sometimes waver on Donald Trump. Do you know what I hate more? All this stuff with the Clintons, all this hypocrisy, all this corruption.
Does anyone find it hilarious that the Democratic Party, they're trying to attack the Associated Press, but somehow Hillary Clinton, who, as I mentioned before, deleted tens of thousands of emails, has systematically lied to the American people? We should trust her and her account of things and not the Associated Press.
The Associated Press had to sue to get access to this information.
Everyone
They had
has.
to
Well,
sue.
everybody has, actually.
But that's the hideousness of the argument that you hear from the liberal left.
But that's also
Trump
their
trusts Hillary.
arrogance that you can say the AP, which is the wire, that you can tell a media organization, journalists doing their jobs, remove this from Twitter. That is the arrogance of the Clinton administration. I hate John Edwards. I never liked him, but he said the Clintons live by one rule of law and the American public live by another. The true statement was never
And it's
said.
abuse of the American people is what they're doing. They abuse the American people by behaving this way.
To broaden that out, just real quickly, Pete, because we've talked about this many times, we saw some of this in the Obama administration, too, via Ben Rhodes, when he said, you know, we could put a narrative out there for certain members of the media and get a story out there with regard to the Iran deal.
Of course. I mean, the Clintons can count on the fact that the media will not dig any deeper, and whatever the media is reporting on is usually a surface-level reporting of the facts in the near term, and then they move right on.
It's true.
And we're moving on right now.
All right, let's do it.
Something equally interesting. We are just weeks away from the first presidential debate of 2016, and we're learning more about Hillary Clinton's strategy. Fox News confirming that the Democratic nominee is trying to find triggers to get under Donald Trump's skin and provoke him into an outburst on live television. Her team is getting advice from psychology experts to make sure they know what would work. Her advisors are also talking to the ghostwriter of The Art of the Deal, that Donald Trump book, for insight into Trump's deepest insecurities. Meantime, Hillary Clinton herself saying at a fundraiser yesterday in the Hamptons, quote, "We have 3 debates, the first one in September. I do not know which Donald Trump will show up." Meantime, a source tells Fox News that the Clinton campaign recognizes Trump is well prepared for accusations of bankruptcy and other matters he's had to answer for. But Marco Rubio's hands comment apparently really took him off his game. Meghan McCain, you have had insight into debate prep before. You know what? It works to her advantage. She won that Senate race in 2000 because of Rick Lazio getting up in her space. That's what sealed it for her, and she's trying to provoke the same thing from Donald Trump.
Donald Trump has got to be really careful not to make her a victim. I mean, listen, I don't like that her gender plays a role in this, but it does. If he comes too hard on Bill's affairs and, you know, her culpability in it, it will look bad, and he already has a problem with women and minorities. That being said, she could be over-preparing right now. I mean, she has to have her pantsuit focus group by a group of people to see which one she should wear and how people will react. He smoked the debates. 16 people. He did a great job almost every single time. It's what endeared him to America. And if he goes in talking like a straight talker, like the average Joe, he can come out and win.
You know what I think of when I think of this coming debate? I think of Rocky IV. Remember Rocky training in the wilderness and running through the snow?
That's such a guy comparison.
Totally.
Like,
and then Ivan Drago is in the lab in Russia and Soviet
None of us
Union.
know what you're
Donald Trump
talking
is
about.
currently running stairs
Donald
right
Trump is
now.
running stairs.
That was
through
the original.
snow.
I saw that.
He's going to be swinging from the hip a little bit more, and she's pole testing the pantsuit and the messages, and she's got psychological experts. We'll see if it's the gunslinger or the precise one, but I'm thinking Rocky IV.
Both strategies have worked for her in the past. I mean, she also had fewer opponents this time, but up against Barack Obama, it was not so easy.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
In those primary, in those primary contests, it was tough. So, I mean,
he
who
seems
knows?
like a real he can seem like a real person. She struggles with that.
Well, and Donald Trump is a real person,
right?
And will come real with it. The question, though, is will he lean on the news cycle that he's just been handed, with more of it coming out today? Is he going to lean on that? Because fine, if you want to take point on point, if you're asked a direct question, you answer that question. But for every barb that's thrown, couldn't he just say, wait, let me turn to page 17 in the pay-for-play scandal, and let me show you which country was given this and then which benefit was happening here, and yes or no, they had a leader, so on and so forth.
But to Harris's point, he doesn't, according to that New York Times article, he didn't want to do mock debates. Does that hurt him?
I think it could here, just because Hillary Clinton is a policy wonk, so I do think that he needs to be prepared on the policy issues. And I will say, as someone who's worked with male candidates in debate training against a female opponent, there is a double standard in the sense that Hillary Clinton's going to sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm being attacked, poor
and that's
me."
worked for her in the past.
And it's worked for her in the past, and that is something that he needs to be careful, especially because he does punch hard, and so he needs to make sure that he is punching in the right way and he doesn't overstep there, because I guarantee she's going to sit there and, oh, little old me, you know.
Pete, you're surrounded by a few strong women right now, right? And if we get into it with you, you're not letting anybody win a point or anything. No, like, when are we going to get to the point where women say they want equality, but then they want equality everywhere? Do we mean it or do we mean it?
Not with Hillary.
Well, they're
not with Hillary.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem, though, is because it's why millennial women aren't endeared to her. Sorry. Continue.
No, you're exactly right. No, you're exactly right. And not just the victim card, but the narrative she tries to create of him is bigoted and crazy, right? So if she could say, "There you go again, Donald. There you go again, off the rails. Can we hand you the keys to the nuclear codes?" I mean, there's an incentive for her to look reasonable and sound and thoughtful and try to make him look like he's off his rocker. He'll have to be very attuned to not falling into those traps.
I was trying to think, by the way, I wanted to bring up in terms of who the Clinton campaign is trying to pick to play Donald Trump. Mark Cuban was one, James Carville, and also some celebrities, maybe Alec Baldwin.
Well, I know you were a fan of James Carville in this role, because we've talked about this.
Mark Cuban is pretty harsh, and Mark Cuban knows how to shoot some arrows.
But I don't.
So maybe
I mean, you got to get somebody from the right, though. You got to get like some long-term Republican. I said get Jesse Waters, pay him $15 million.
I know.
Get somebody in on, because I'm sorry, they're liberals. They're not going to shoot with the same arrow as a conservative will. And Donald Trump's got a lot of like really smart conservatives around him, prepping him right now. And I just think she can prep and prep and prep, but he's going to go quick. I want him to be like.
He's also very, very unpredictable. So how do you can't prepare for Donald Trump in the sense you don't know what he's going to do.
Would you take less than $15 million to play the role? Since you offered that.
That's like a pretty good gig.
I tried to come up with an outburst that would actually hurt Donald Trump, and I couldn't come up with one because he's already had them all, and he's the Republican nominee.
I just want him to say, "I gave you money because I knew you could be bought. I knew the Clintons could be bought. That's why I gave you money." That's
Maybe
the line I want to hear.
Megan's in.
I got some good lines against Hillary.
I gave you money because I knew you could be.
I like that, Megan.
Thank you very much.
Wow. We should just go to a commercial.
Winner.
Well, we got to tease first. Growing questions about whether Hillary Clinton's closest aide, Huma Abedin, is becoming a liability to her campaign. Abedin announcing she's leaving her husband, Anthony Weiner, after his latest sexting scandal. But will this cast a much bigger shadow? And the backlash intensifying over 49ers backup quarterback Colin Kaepernick's refusal to stand for the national anthem to protest what he says is police brutality against blacks. Whether pressure will build on the NFL and his team to distance themselves from him. And right after the show, catch more from this beautiful couch. You can join us on our live chat by clicking the Overtime tab on foxnews.com/outnumbered. You can also find Overtime Live on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/outnumberedFNC. Tweet us your questions and comments. We will see you there.